A wise old man once said, "If you live on an island, you'd better learn to swim." Marjorie Naysmith certainly did her part in following that advice, and for over 30 years, this big-hearted lady introduced more than 23,000 Victoria area children to the basics of swimming and water safety. She was born Marjorie Louise Tudor in Victoria and grew up in the Oaklands neighborhood. Later, she worked in the shoe department at the David Spencer department store in downtown Victoria. She married a James Bay boy, John Scotty Naysmith, and they raised 3 children, daughters Louise and Marilyn, and son David. Their family home was in the Shelburne-Lansdowne district, and Margie was a good mom, always great with kids, and the neighborhood children adored her. After watching her own children taking swimming lessons, she just picked up on the techniques and decided to help out. Although she had never taken formal swimming lessons, her side stroke was strong enough to rescue anyone in trouble. And so she started as a volunteer swimming instructor, helping Archie McKinnon teaching grade 5s at the old YMCA pool during the 1940s. Sometime later, she was asked to take on the classes herself, and for 20 years she volunteered at the Y. That led to conducting private lessons and teaching some small group classes at the Crystal Garden. That started in 1955 and lasted well into the 60s. Some of those kids went on to join different swim clubs and do well in competitive swimming. For many years, there were only 2 places to take swimming lessons in these parts: the Dinky Pool at the Y or the Frigid Crystal. Things changed in 1953, and Margie became well known for the gigantic daily colonist swim classes held at Elk Lake's Happy Land. That program was the brainchild of the publisher of The Colonist, Seth Halton. He went to Margie and put the idea to her of free summer lessons for kids. Would she be willing to conduct the classes? Margie, who loved kids, loved teaching them to swim, and loved any kind of challenge, said yes. If there was any doubt about the need, that was washed away in that first summer, as the first of thousands of Victoria youngsters, some of whom could never have afforded swimming lessons, began the once-a-week sessions. Throughout the 1950s and early 60s, 1,000 kids a year turned out in sunshine or rain, and classes ran 4 days a week for 8 weeks during the school holidays. In 1960, a record total of 1,571 children aged 7 to 14 received their daily colonist swimming achievement certificates. One father, watching his small ones enjoying their swim classes, marveled at Margie's patience. He figured that on average, each child asked her 2 questions. 2 times 800 youngsters times 8 weeks. He said, "That's 12,000 questions. And after bringing 3 kids, I'm nearly out of my mind when I get home. How do you do it?" Margie looked at it differently, saying she got at least 6,000 laughs. Like one lad who was spotted leaving wearing his underpants over his wet bathing suit. Why? "Mom told me not to get my good pants wet, and I can't get my trunks off." Margie asked, "So why the underwear?" "Oh, it doesn't matter if I get them wet." The classes went on for 18 summers, although they lost their popularity when Saanich opened the new Gordon Head Pool and the Wanda Fuqua Pool followed. Attendance at the free classes began to drop off in the late 60s, and 1970 was the final summer. With fewer than 500 signing on, Margie knew it was time to end a good thing after a young lad said to her, "You taught my grandfather how to swim." So she hung her well-worn whistle on its hook in her kitchen for a final time. Through the 18 summers, she and her assistants had seen about 17,000 kids come and go. Many of those assistants, including Marilyn Naysmith, were graduates of the program themselves. So the swimming program was retired, and Margie moved on to other things in the community. She volunteered with the handicapped at the Naden Pool and also with the visually impaired. For all her volunteered time and effort, Marjorie was given some recognition that touched her deeply. Hugh Curtis, Mayor of Saanich, honored Marjorie in 1971 for her community service, and she was also presented with a gold medal as Victoria's Good Citizen of the Year. A wise old man, it may be the same wise old man as before, we don't know, also stated that behind every good woman, there has to be a good man. And so we cannot finish without mentioning Margie's husband, who was also greatly involved in Victoria's sporting and community life. John Naysmith was born in Scotland, and his family came to Canada in 1917. He was 9 years old and was soon one of an infamous South Park school gang where, amazingly, he was nicknamed Scotty. Scotty's dad was the head gardener at the Parliament buildings, and in the tough times, the young laddie had a number of jobs, including working for his father. During that time, he began dating Marjorie, and they were married in 1932. Scotty drove a Hudson Bay delivery truck, so they had both department stores covered. And then during the war, when gasoline was rationed, he switched to driving the BC Electric streetcars. One of his runs was out to the Navy base in Esquimalt, so he always had lots of stories to tell. After the war, he switched to bus driving and then to the tour buses. He was well versed in Victoria's history and a wonderful storyteller on the city tour. But he preferred the summer runs to Butchart Gardens, where he knew all the flowers by their botanical names. Scotty most enjoyed his association with the Victoria Columbia Masonic Lodge, where he was a devoted past master and had been specially honored by them for his distinguished service in the community and the lodge. In 1949, when Memorial Arena first opened, Scotty was the head usher and later a goal judge for hockey and lacrosse. He was very active in the community, always doing for others and mostly behind the scenes. For years, he took on the thankless positions with the Victorian District Soccer Discipline Board, as well as the Referees Examination Committee. In 1970, Scotty and Jim Wilmshurst put the polish back on soccer's tarnishing Jackson Cup when they instigated an evening final, a Player of the Match award, medals to the winning team members, and a post-game social. Ever since, the Cup has been local senior soccer's most prized award. Margie and Scotty celebrated their golden wedding anniversary with their family in 1982. Tonight, the Greater Victoria Sports Hall of Fame welcomes Marilyn Cann and other members of Marjorie Naysmith's family. Marilyn, we thank you for your mother's contribution to Victoria's sports life as we honor Marjorie Naysmith in the Builders category of the Greater Victoria Sports Hall of Fame.
Well, I know that Mom would have been thrilled, and I know that Dad would have been just so excited. He just loved things like this. Mom did love the kids, and as you know, I taught swimming with her for many years too, and she really did care about them all, and it is amazing, and I'm sure that David will tell you too, that it doesn't matter where we go, in his office as a doctor, or when I'm selling houses, there's always somebody who comes up and says, your mom taught my mom or me how to swim. So it's just great. Thank you very much.
I'd just like to say thank you as well to Mr. Bate and the folks who've recognized Mom. I'm sure she's smiling down on us now. And to Murphy's Place Lounge, thanks very much. Until tonight, I wasn't aware that she was actually a patron, but thanks very much. Both Mom and Dad loved Victoria, and they loved it not because it's just such a beautiful place to live, as we all know, but because of the community spirit that evenings like this exemplify. So thank you so much for honoring her.